Hello students, today we are going to continue with Chapter 5, Acids, Bases and Salts. We studied about acids and bases in the previous session and discussed about acids in detail. Today we will discuss bases in detail. Some information you already have about bases. Let us revise that. Substances that are bitter in taste and feel soapy to touch are called as bases, and the substances that contain bases are said to be basic in nature. Let us discuss some examples of bases. We widely use many substances in our daily life which are basic in nature. Some of them are baking soda, soap solution, detergents, toothpaste, dishwashing liquids and so on. There are many bases which are used at industrial level for preparation and production of many compounds. Some of them are sodium hydroxide, ammonium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide and so on. Let us discuss about the types of bases now. Bases can be grouped as strong and weak bases. Strong bases are the bases which dissociate into their components completely, and weak bases are the bases which dissociate into its ions or components partially. We can also say that strong bases are more reactive than the weak bases. Some examples of strong bases are sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide. And some examples of weak bases are ammonium hydroxide, zinc hydroxide. There are many more bases about which and their uses we will be discussing later. Let us discuss about some of the important properties of bases. The first property is what you already have understood by now. They usually taste bitter. Bases are soapy to touch or slippery to touch, but it is advised that we should not handle chemicals or these kinds of substances without precaution. They may be harmful for your skin and should not be tasted. Now, the next property is bases turn red litmus blue. When a base comes in contact with a red litmus paper, the color changes to blue. This indicates that the substance is basic in nature. But if a basic substance comes in contact with a blue litmus paper, what will happen? The color remains blue. There is no color change. This also indicates the substance would be basic or neutral in nature. We will discuss about the indicators, that is the litmus paper, again in detail when we talk of indicators in the same chapter. Another important property is they produce salt and water on reacting with acids. When an acid and a base react, salt and water are produced. This is also what is called as neutralization reaction. We will be discussing in detail about neutralization also in the same chapter. All the bases are not soluble in water. Bases that are soluble in water are called as alkalis. Some examples of alkaline substances are sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide. Bases that have pH above 7 on a pH scale. If you all remember, we had discussed about this scale when we were discussing about acids in the previous session. pH scale is a parameter which helps us to understand and check the basicity or acidity of a substance. Say for example, we tested a substance on a pH paper and the color was light blue. So the value of that on a pH scale would be around 10. This indicates that the substance is basic. If the color is dark blue or violet, that means the substance is a strong base. But if the color is towards green or the value is very close to 7, that means the substance is a base but it is a weak base. Now, let us discuss about the uses of bases. Bases are widely used in our daily lives. We will discuss about calcium hydroxide first. Calcium hydroxide is a strong base and is commonly called slag lime. It is used in many agricultural pesticides. Excessive use of fertilizers makes the soil acidic. See, when farmers use excess of fertilizers in the soil turns to be acidic in nature. And an acidic soil is not at all good for the growth of the plants. So, to make the soil suitable for the growth of the plants, the farmer needs to make the soil again a balanced one. For that, they use a base to neutralize the effect of the excess acid in the soil. And the base they use for neutralizing the acidity of the soil is calcium hydroxide, which is also called as slag lime. Whitewash, you must have seen this. People use a low-cost paint in some areas or usually villages to paint their exterior or interior of the houses. That whitewash has slag lime as the main component. Wastewater from the factories is acidic in nature. So, again, this acidic waste cannot be disposed as such. This needs to be neutralized, for which calcium hydroxide is used. Now we will discuss some more bases and their uses. Potassium hydroxide is also called as caustic potash. It is used in the production of disinfectants, liquid soaps, shampoos, and drain cleaners. Another important base is sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide is commonly called as caustic potash. It is used for unclogging the drains or the blocked drains in areas of home. You can use at home or any other areas where the unblocking of the drains is required. It is also used in the manufacturing of paper, textiles, soaps, and detergents. Few more bases and their uses are as follows. Magnesium hydroxide. This is an important base and is also called as milk of magnesia. Milk of magnesia is used as an important antacid. Now, what an antacid is? See, we all know that our stomach produces hydrochloric acid, which helps in the digestion of the food. But in case the amount of acid in our stomach increases the normal level, that leads to acidity. To neutralize this excess acid in the stomach, we need to take an antacid. And magnesium hydroxide is used as an antacid to neutralize the acidity of the stomach. And it is also called as milk of magnesia. Another important base is ammonium hydroxide. It is used in the manufacture of household cleaners and many other chemicals. By now, we have understood about acids and bases. We discussed about the properties of acids and bases. Here is a table which helps us to compare what we have learnt by now. Let us revise it. The taste of acids is sour. The taste of bases is bitter. Acids have a corrosive nature and bases are soapy to touch. But the concentrated bases can also cause skin burn and care should be taken while handling them. Of course, the concentrated acids are very harmful and we should take care while handling acids also. Acids react with blue litmus paper and turn them, the color changes to red. Bases react with red litmus paper and the color changes to blue. acids and bases react with each other and produce salt and water. This reaction is also called as neutralization reaction. We will be discussing about neutralization in detail again. Some examples of acids are sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid, citric acid, lactic acid, acetic acid, and so on. Some important bases are sodium hydroxide, ammonium hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide, and so on. This was all about acids and bases. We will discuss about indicators and neutralization reaction in the next session. Thank you and have a nice day.